Welcome to the 2025 State of the NATO Nation address. It is the fourth time we're doing this, and it's become a tradition. And I hope you will enjoy looking at what happened in 2025 and what's going to happen in 2026, or what may happen in 2026, the plans for 2026. Now, the three times previously that I've done this, I've been in a state of mind of real expansion, excitement. Everything has been growing, and I'm predicting things will just keep growing. This year's been different. I think of this year, 2025, as a year of growth and contraction as well. And we're going to see, what I mean by that in a second. But essentially, we're just going to, this little address is going to be divided in two sections. One is highlights from 2025 and ideas for 2026. And yes, so we're going to look at what's going on with the movement, with our offerings, and what's happened and what's in the future. But I wanted to start with essentially the growth part. I said that 2025 was a year of growth and contraction. What is the growth part of this? Well, firstly, actually, before we get into that, I just want to see that what matters most of all, of course, is that we again saw hundreds, maybe thousands of people leave the struggle with insomnia this year. Clients in BedTyme, in the sleep coach school, members of the YouTube community, people on the email list who told me this, and that's amazing and wonderful, and that's what we're here for. And it brings me back to starting this YouTube channel. What was that, 7 years ago now? And I was just hoping I could reach one person out there in the world and make a difference in that one person's life. And here we are, definitely making a big impact in many, many people's lives. And that is absolutely wonderful. And that's really, we could end there and just call it a day. But there's more. There's more. In terms of growth, I would say that where we saw growth this year was the NATO framework. There was a significant advances in the NATO framework. And in our understanding, not only of insomnia, but of the inner struggle, which insomnia is just one version of. And to get a little bit more concrete and tangible here, what did we see happen this year? Well, there it is. I did publish that book. How can I point it here? This one, Principles of NATO, and got some really nice feedback from it. Several people said, I've read it twice or even multiple times, and I find it really, really valuable. To mention kind of a key element here in our understanding is that whether it is insomnia or OCD or PTSD or chronic fatigue or depression or any other inner struggle, it is rooted and it can be seen as a struggle where our brain has mislabeled something as a threat, something as a danger, something we need to escape from, and that we call the token. And with insomnia, the token is being awake at night. With chronic fatigue, it is feeling fatigued, etc., etc. And this really helps because it simplifies things for us, and it also simplifies not only our understanding what's happening with us when we struggle, but how we leave that struggle. So I think that is a really nice advancement of the understandings, and it helps on. Let's get into that in a second, actually. But there's something I want to say that I'm postponing now, but. Another tangible way that you can learn more about these advances is this video here on the YouTube channel, and you'll find it doesn't have a number, but if you search for the new insomnia model special announcement, you'll find it. You can search on Google or here in YouTube, and you'll find it. And that's the one where I go over with a kind of a sketch how the tokenization works and how we can understand all the versions of the inner struggle with a very simple model. And I think it does help. When it comes to insomnia in itself, because there are many mini struggles within the insomnia struggle. For example, we can be in a state where we struggle with sleep, but we also struggle with like palpitations or restless legs or bowel movement changes or hyperarousal or something like that. And seeing that that they're all connected in the same is really helpful. But one thing that I'm thinking of for 2026, and I'll get to that later on, is to more deliberately talk about this model and how it applies more broadly. But anyway, I think the growth when it comes to this year was mainly in our kind of understanding of the inner struggle. Now, let's get to the challenges. 2025 from the perspective of like entrepreneurship, from the business aspect, was challenging. And it started like right off the bat. I've been doing this now for 5 years at least, full time. And there's been some clear trends when it comes to how many clients we have, how many students we have in our programs. And it tends to be that from, let's call it December through to June, that tends to be like a lot of growth, especially January, February, March, there tends to be a lot of people joining. And so after my State of the NATO Nation address last year, I was like very optimistic, looking to expand and things of that nature. And I was surprised because January was slower than usual. I was like, okay, well, maybe that's nothing. February was slower. March was slower. The whole winter into spring, there was this contraction. We had less and less students, and then finally in May we hit sort of a low point, and then June things picked up again, and then July was okay, and then again October, November was really slow. And so this was really something new, something I never experienced before. And to make this a little bit more tangible again, we can look at revenue. And what I've done historically, for some reason, I don't know why I did this, but I've always shared like a snapshot of the most recent month, which tends to be November. And so last year, I shared that for BedTyme revenue per month was about 10,000. The Sleep for School revenue per month was about 33,000. Book sales was about 2,000 per month, compared to a snapshot of the last month. BedTyme about 8,000, Sleep for School about 18,000, books about 1,500. As you can tell, a significant reduction. Now, if you look year over year, it won't be as dramatic. But if you look just like when I did the State of the NATO Nation address last year compared to now, there's almost a 40% decline in revenue. And yeah, this was not easy. And the hardest part was that we used to have 3 teams in Insomnia Immunity program. So when somebody joins, they're assigned a team, and a team has about 30 students and 2 coaches. And I found that ratio be really, really nice, because the calls, we usually have like 5-6 people on the calls, and the Slack channel is, there's something happening every day. It tends to be really nice, but we just didn't have enough students to sustain 3 teams. So we had to go from 3 teams back to 2 teams. And this was so hard because I had to let some of our coaches know that I didn't have work for them. And I felt like that was a big letdown on my end. Like, I feel like I failed the coaches. And as I told our coaches when I shared this, I cried for the first time in 13 years. When my son was born, I was very emotional. I cried, and this too was like I was just bawling, and it was so tough to let people know that. So yeah, that was very, very hard, and which leads us to like the meta aspect of all of this, and this is where we see that we're all the same. We humans are all the same. Many people ask me, "Hey Daniel, have you had insomnia?" I've never struggled with sleep. I've never struggled with insomnia. And then people are like, "How can you have this understanding? How can you see this so clearly?" Well, one is, the immersion and having spent years, interacting with fellow humans who struggle with sleep. But another aspect is that we are all the same. Like, our brains work the same, our minds work the same. We respond the same way when we feel kind of threatened, and things are, the rug is pulled out from under our feet. And so, this is where I, find a lot of times myself thinking like, things were going so well. Like, how could this happen? which I hear so many times from students, like, things were going so well, how could this happen? Or this one, like, what if we're on a never-ending trajectory of contraction? What if, like, the everything was a fluke, and Daniel, you were a fluke, and this is just going to go to zero? And this is really, really scary to think about, because I left medicine, or I was fired, actually, but I had started working on BedTyme and the YouTube channel then, so I was kind of excited about that too, striking out on my own, starting my own business. But at this point, I think of myself as unemployable, really, as a doctor. I've been out for so long, and then thinking of, like, well, what if I can't support my family with the business? That's a scary thought. And these thoughts happen, but what can we learn from it is that, what helps when it comes to the insomnia struggle is also what it helps when it comes to the challenges in the entrepreneurial space. And one is the understanding, and I do understand why. So the real why isn't that we're doing something wrong, or something has changed in the world, or anything like that, like something has fundamentally changed. But I think the real why is just that 2025 for a lot of people has felt like recession. Although technically we're not in a recession, a lot of people believe we're in a recession, and it has felt that way for a lot of people. And if you look at consumer confidence, which basically is a measure of how confident people feel about income and how confident they are spending, they've been at recession levels for, I think, actually all of 20. I wrote most of 2025, but I think really all of 25 has been at those, like, really low levels, and much lower than 2024. And so what we can learn from that is that people, like, the general state of the economy, the general state of consumer confidence, it definitely impacts coaching. And what is helpful, though, is that you see that our business is not alone facing some challenges 2025. It's just part of the general economy. And impermanence is the one thing that we can be 100% certain of. Business cycles are, it is up and down. And when things have been slow for a while, that means eventually things are going to pick up again, right? And, WAGMI, we are going to make it something that, helps us whenever we are in a place of, like, doubt, challenges, things are looking a little bit difficult. Remember, we are going to make it. So yeah, 2025, and I would, it feels, though, as if things maybe have bottomed out and things are picking up now towards December, but we'll see. And another reminder of, like, real meta here, being NATO, practicing NATO, seeing that this is what I would like to happen, but if something else happens, what can I do? Like, being NATO about it. Now let's go to 2026. We've been looking back, so let's look forward. And usually this part of my State of the NATO Nation address usually is the longest, because I have, like, we're going to try this, we're going to do this, we have all this. And this year, things are a little different. I'm thinking more of, like, just going to keep on doing what we are doing well, which is providing helpful educational content, nurturing our broad community, taking really good care of our students, our clients, and making sure they leave the struggle. And just keep doing what you're doing, really. Now, there's one thing I want to mention, though, in terms of ideas for 2026, and it's the one I have shared on the channel in a newsletter as well, which is to explore how the expanded NATO framework that not only applies to Insomnia, but it applies to other versions of the inner struggle, with a new YouTube channel, or my wife just mentioned Substack could be another option. But maybe in 2026 this will happen, and I think that could be really, really valuable and really meaningful, and something really nice to do. Now, with that said, I want to extend a big thanks to you for being here, for tuning in, for being part of this journey, for liking and subscribing, and for telling people about our little ecosystem, our little NATO sphere. Big thanks to you for being here. And finally here, I want to wish you a really peaceful rest of 2025. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate any other holiday, happy holidays. And I hope 2026 will be a year full of growth and wellness and wonderful things happening for all of us that are involved. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon. And by the way, I should have said this earlier, this will be the last long format YouTube video for this year. I am going to be out of town and celebrating or having some vacation time, but we'll be back again full of inspiration and ready to get back to teaching and helping and supporting in 2026. That's it. Bye for now. See you next time.